Picture this. You're starting your day, the world outside is waking up, and the air is thick with the usual rush of life. It's a gray Tuesday morning in Britain. The sky is heavy, and people hurry along, lost in their thoughts, barely noticing the headlines that shape their perceptions. You're scrolling through the news, and a headline screams, "Asylum seekers invade seaside hotel." The words are bold, urgent, impossible to ignore. A grainy photo shows tired people getting off a bus, clutching their belongings, faces drawn with exhaustion and uncertainty. It's designed to provoke anger, maybe fear. The image and headline work together, pushing you to react before you even think. The narrative is simple. Your country is under threat. But this is misdirection, a distraction from the real issues at play. While you're told to focus on the people in the hotel, you're not supposed to notice who owns the hotel, or who's profiting quietly in the background. The real story isn't about an invasion. It's about a handful of private companies cashing in on public money, turning crisis into opportunity. The so-called asylum crisis is a goldmine for these firms. Contracts worth millions are handed out, often with little oversight. While the public debates boats and borders, a parallel industry is booming, turning human desperation into profit, and growing richer with every new headline. The headline wants you angry at asylum seekers, not at the system making millions from their misery. It's a clever diversion, and it works. So let's pull back the curtain and follow the money. Let's see who really benefits from this so-called crisis. The truth behind the UK's asylum crisis isn't on the beaches of Kent or in the hotel lobbies shown on the news. It's in the annual reports of companies profiting from government failure and public fear, hidden in plain sight among the numbers. This isn't just a policy problem, it's a multi-billion-pound deception, a business model built on suffering and confusion. And it's happening right under our noses, paid for with our money, while we're distracted by headlines that hide the real story. The asylum crisis narrative didn't appear by accident. It was carefully constructed piece by piece over time. This narrative was built by a partnership between influential parts of the media and certain politicians, each amplifying the other's message for their own gain. Together, they take a complex issue, global migration, with all its causes and consequences, and strip away all nuance, reducing it to simple, emotionally charged stories. Loaded words like swarm and illegal are repeated so often they become background noise, subtly shaping public perception and fueling anxiety. Fear-mongering serves a political purpose. When the public is anxious or afraid, they're more likely to support drastic, expensive, and sometimes extreme solutions. The media's relentless focus on small boats crossing the channel creates a distorted reality, making it seem like an overwhelming invasion. They rarely mention that most refugees are actually hosted by poorer countries, or that seeking asylum is a legal right under international law. Instead, the public is presented with a caricature, the so-called queue jumper, or economic migrant, erasing the real stories behind each person. This makes it easier for leaders to justify harsh policies and for the public to become indifferent to suffering. The cycle continues. Media sells fear, politicians sell tough talk, and the public is left divided, unsure who to trust. This toxic loop creates the perfect environment for bad policy decisions, and for private companies to quietly step in and profit. That's when the real money starts to flow, out of sight, as public funds are funneled into private hands, often with little oversight or transparency. It wasn't always like this. Asylum housing used to be managed by local councils and housing associations, integrating people into communities. It was cheaper, more humane, and rooted in community responsibility. Then came the shift outsourcing to private companies. The promise was efficiency and savings, but the reality was different. Huge contracts were handed to firms to manage housing, transport, and allowances. The focus shifted from welfare to profit. Companies were incentivized to do the bare minimum, maximizing margins. Local councils were sidelined, and asylum seekers were moved into isolated hotels and barracks. This made them more visible, easier to stigmatize, and cut off from normal life. The system became more expensive, less humane, and deeply dysfunctional. The Great Housing Shift created a bigger, more profitable problem. So, who's really cashing in behind the scenes of the UK's asylum system? Let's name names and follow the money. 3 major companies stand out: Serco, Miti, and Clear Springs Ready Homes. These are the giants at the heart of the business. Together, these firms have secured government contracts worth a staggering $4 billion over the next 10 years, all to provide accommodation for asylum seekers across the country. The more chaotic and overwhelmed the system becomes, the more these companies stand to gain. Serco's profits have soared to new heights, with immigration-related work now a key driver of their financial success and growth. Miti, too, has seen its revenues surge, thanks in large part to lucrative asylum accommodation contracts. And Clear Springs? Their profits have exploded by over 2,000% in just a few years, an almost unbelievable increase. These companies are paid per person, per night. So every delay, every extra day someone waits means more money in their accounts. The backlog of over 100,000 unresolved cases isn't just a bureaucratic failure. For these firms, it's a steady, reliable revenue stream. In fact, delays aren't just a side effect. They're built into the business model, fueling ongoing profits. The public is told that rising costs are simply due to more arrivals, but in reality, a huge portion of that money flows straight to these private contractors. They profit from a state of perpetual crisis, thriving as the system struggles. These companies are the silent partners in the UK's asylum chaos. And as long as the crisis continues, they're not just surviving, they're thriving. The UK's asylum process is slow, expensive, and inefficient by design. This benefits private companies. The longer someone waits for a decision, the longer they stay in corporate-run housing, generating profit. If you're Serco or Miti, your ideal customer is someone stuck for years. A fast home office is a threat to your revenue. A slow one is a goldmine. There's no incentive for these companies to push for efficiency. Their profits depend on the backlog. The government pays billions to manage a crisis it can't solve. The public is told the problem is arrivals, not the profit-driven system. It's a perfect loop of blame and profiteering. For billions spent, you might expect decent accommodation. You'd be wrong. Many asylum seekers are crammed into hotel rooms for months or years with no space to live. Military barracks like Napier are filthy and unfit, with residents facing prison-like conditions. The business model: provide the bare minimum, maximize profit. This means poor food, inadequate health care, and little support. Reports tell of mold, pests, and indifference from staff. Children miss out on education and social development. The cost is astronomical. Millions per day for hotels, far more than community housing. We pay more for a system that's less humane and less effective. The squalid conditions are the logical outcome of profit over people. When things go wrong, who's responsible? Often, no one. The system creates an accountability black hole. The Home Office blames contractors. Contractors blame subcontractors. Contracts are secretive, shielding details from scrutiny. Oversight is weak, consequences rare. Companies know as long as they provide a bed, they get paid. The government is hostage to these providers, no matter how poor the service. Meanwhile, the real profiteers remain unaccountable. The true cost is measured in broken lives. Children spend years in hotel rooms, missing out on school and friendships. Parents, fleeing danger, are trapped in limbo, unable to work or plan for the future. Families are warehoused, not welcomed. Mental health suffers. Depression, anxiety, and trauma are rampant. We're paying billions for a system that damages the people it's supposed to protect. The real crisis isn't arrivals. It's what happens to people once they're here. The bill is paid by all of us. Are we doomed to this system? No. The problems are man-made and can be unmade. First, fix the processing system fund and staff the Home Office to clear the backlog. Fast, fair decisions end the need for expensive, long-term accommodation. Next, end outsourcing to profit-driven corporations. Return housing to nonprofits and local councils who support people, not profit from them. It's cheaper, more humane, and helps integration. Fund community groups, not corporate giants. Demand radical transparency. Publish all contracts. Create a strong regulator. Work with international partners to expand safe, legal routes. The choice is clear: profit from suffering, or build a system rooted in fairness and dignity. We're paying more for worse outcomes. It's time to demand change and look past the headlines to the real story.